So I always wondered why Russia's geography was just so weird, and through doing preparations for this video now I know why, and I'd like to share that with you. If you'd like to know a little bit more about Russia and how it's formed, then keep watching this video. This is Welsh ASMR 82. Hey, how are you? Don't forget to like and also subscribe to the video, to the channel, if you enjoy the video. So I'm looking at Wikipedia, and in this video we're going to take a quick look at a brief description of Russia before we look at its formation and the different stages of its creation. And then towards the end of the video I'm going to concentrate on probably the thing that I am most interested in, and that's the political divisions, as it's called here, and all of the different constituent parts of Russia. This bit is really interesting. If you want to know what the purple thing is at the bottom here, which is super interesting, wait until the end of the video, okay? Okay, so let's start just reading this top bit to introduce us. So Russia, Россия, or the Russian Federation. This is really important that we start thinking of it as a federation of parts and not a single country. As a transcontinental country spanning Eastern Europe and Northern Asia. So transcontinental countries, countries that span more than one continent, like Turkey, Egypt, and Panama, for example. It is the largest country in the world by area, covering over 17 million square miles, or 6 million square kilometers, and over 6 million square miles, and encompassing 1/8 of the Earth's inhabitable landmass. Russia extends across 11 time zones and borders 16 sovereign nations. The most of any country in the world, is the 9th most populous country and the most populous country in Europe, with 145.5 million people. The country's capital and largest city is Moscow, the largest city entirely within Europe. St. Petersburg is Russia's cultural center and second largest city. Other major urban areas include Novosibirsk, Yekaterinburg, Nizhny Novgorod, and Kazan. This little comment about largest city entirely within Europe is relating to the capital of Turkey. Not the capital, actually the previous capital of Turkey. The second city of Turkey, but one of the largest cities around, Istanbul. Because Istanbul is split literally halfway down the middle between Asia and Europe. Okay, so let's just scoot down to talk about the Caven Rus. So the establishment of the first East Slavic states in the 9th century coincided with the arrival of the Varangians, the Vikings, who ventured along the waterways extending from the eastern Baltic to the Black and Caspian seas. According to the primary chronicle, a Varangian from the Rus people named Rurik was elected ruler of Novgorod in 862. In 882, his successor Oleg ventured south and conquered Kiev, which had been previously paying tribute to the Khazars. Rurik's son Igor and Igor's son Sviatoslav subsequently subdued all local East Slavic tribes to Kievan rule, destroyed the Khazar Khaganate, and launched several military expeditions to Byzantium and Persia. In the 10th and 11th centuries, Caven Rus became one of the largest and most prosperous states in Europe. The reigns of Vladimir the Great and his son Yaroslav the Wise constitute the golden age of Kiev, which saw the acceptance of Orthodox Christianity from Byzantium and the creation of the first East Slavic written legal code. Caven was ultimately disintegrated, with the final blow being the Mongol invasion, which resulted in the sacking of Kiev and the death of a major part of the population of the Rus. The invaders, later known as Tartars, formed the state of the Golden Horde, which pillaged the Russian principalities and ruled the southern and central expanses of Russia for over 2 centuries. Okay, so basically, after that, Imperial Russia. So under Peter the Great, Russia was proclaimed an empire in 1721 and established itself as one of the European great powers, ruling from 1682 to 1725. Peter defeated Sweden in the Great Northern War, securing Russia's access to the sea and sea trade. Catherine II, who ruled in 1962 to 1796, presided over the Russian Age of Enlightenment. She extended Russian political control over the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and annexed most of its territories into Russia, making it the most populous country in Europe. In the south, after the successful Russo-Turkish wars against the Ottoman Empire, Catherine advanced Russia's boundary to the Black Sea by dissolving the Crimean Khanate and annexing Crimea. As a result of victories over Qajar Iran through the Russo-Persian Wars, by the first half of the 19th century, Russia also made significant territorial gains in the Caucasus. Catherine's successor, her son Paul, was unstable and focused predominantly on domestic issues. Following his short reign, Catherine's strategy was continued with Alexander I's wresting of Finland from the weakened Sweden in 1809, and of Bessarabia from the Ottomans in 1812. In North America, the Russians became the first Europeans to reach and colonize Alaska. In 1803 to 1806, the first Russian circumnavigation was made. In 1820, a Russian expedition discovered the continent of Antarctica. Then it goes on to talk about Napoleon and revolution and civil war. Then it talks about the Soviet Union. So the Soviet Union, of course, was the union of the Russian Federation with surrounding countries. So on the 30th of December 1922, Lenin and his aides formed the Soviet Union by joining the Russian Federation into a single state with the Belarusian, Transcaucasian and Ukrainian republics. Eventually, internal border changes and annexations during World War II created a union of 15 republics, the largest in size and population being the Russian Federation, which dominated the union for its entire history, politically, culturally and economically. Following Lenin's death in 1924, a troika was designated to take charge. Eventually, Joseph Stalin, the General Secretary of the Communist Party, managed to suppress all opposition factions and consolidate power in his hands to become the country's dictator by the 1930s. Okay, so then, as we know, the Cold War happened after World War II, and then Russia dissolved the Soviet Union. So in December 1991, following the dissolution of the Soviet Union along with contemporary Russia, 14 other post-Soviet states emerged, including Ukraine, Belarus, Kazakhstan, etc. Okay, so I was taught by my Russian teacher that whereas France, Great Britain, and the Netherlands and Spain and Portugal got into boats and spread around the world and claimed land for their own that way, and that's why there are so many English-speaking countries around the world, French-speaking countries, and Spanish, obviously, and that's why Brazil came about. she taught me that basically Russians got on horses and went to the east. So they employed armies of people. They actually paid money and got people to go this way of land that was not very defended by small groups of people, and just went all the way to the border and actually went over and originally owned Alaska as well. And therefore, when we talk about Russia, we should be mindful that it's even more geopolitically, culturally, ethnically different to somewhere like the United States, for example. If you are watching this and you're from the United States, you recognize there's a difference between a Texan and a Californian and a New Yorker. But very often, culturally, there's a smaller difference, but mostly they speak English and or Spanish. And, you know, they're American, and very often they're Christian, and etc., etc. However, Russia has a massive diversity within its country, contrary to common perception. So, according to the Constitution, the Russian Federation is composed of 85 federal subjects. In 1993, when the new constitution was adopted, there were 89 federal subjects listed, but some were later merged. Okay. So let's have a look here. So there are 46 oblasts. The most common type of federal subject, with a governor and a locally elected legislature, commonly named after their administrative centres, mostly focused in the west here, but not exclusively, as we can see over here as well. 22 republics. These are the really interesting ones. Each is nominally autonomous, home to a specific ethnic minority, and has its own constitution, language, and legislature, but is represented by the federal government in international affairs. 9 krais. They are legally identical to oblasts. The title krai, frontier or territory. These are in orange, so they're often towards the borders. That one's not, I guess, but it would have been at one point. The borderlands is historic, related to geographic frontier positions in a certain period of history. The current krais are not related to frontiers, like this one. 4 autonomous okrugs, occasionally referred to as autonomous districts, areas or regions, each with a substantial or predominantly ethnic minority. You can see them here and here. 3 federal cities, notably Moscow, St. Petersburg and Sevastopol in Crimea. And lastly, 1 autonomous oblast. This is the Jewish autonomous oblast. So this is the one, it's the purple one over here. So this was created in the late 1940s. The Jewish population peaked to around 50,000, approximately 25% of the population, as of the 2010 census. Oh, this is talking about within this oblast. It's Russia's only autonomous oblast. It is one of 2 official Jewish jurisdictions in the world, the other being the state of Israel. And the flag is rather pretty. And the coat of arms here. So basically, I think the story goes that I've read is that there were some concerns that this area was very low in population and that the Chinese might try and come across the border and do a land claim, land grab. And so it was decided that they should create a Jewish autonomous oblast where Jewish people could move to and have their own area in which to live, but also doubling up as a place therefore populated and able to make sure that China doesn't come over the border. think it had to do with Stalin at the time. And then some of the other areas that you should be aware of are the Muslim, mostly areas, places like Kazan and Chechnya, quite famous Chechnya in people's minds, due to an uprising there, but also there was an uprising in Kazan as well at one point, which again was crushed by the central government in Moscow. So, let's take a quick look at the republics, just for me to show you a little bit more about them. So, there are quite a lot of them, but very, very quickly. There's many, as I said, in the south. So Adygia, Altai, the Altai Republic, Bashkortostan, Buryatia, Chechnya, which again is in the south, Chuvashia, Crimea, Dagestan, Ingushetia, Kabardino-Balkaria, Kalmykia, Karachay-Cherkessia, Karelia, on the border with Finland, Khakassia, Komi, Mari El, probably the coolest name, Mordovia, North Ossetia, Alania, on the border with Georgia, Sakha, one of the largest, Tatarstan, where Kazan is the capital. I think I said Kazan earlier and I meant Tatarstan, which is the republic, and Kazan is the largest city and capital. Tuva and Udmurtia. So many of these have different languages, cultures, histories, religions, and traditions, and therefore they have a separate identity within the overall state of Russia. So yeah, that really helped me to understand. I mean, look at the ethnic group, so 80% are Russian, but then you've got Tatar, which is a Turkic group, Ukrainian, Bashkir, Chuvash, Chechen, and others. Religions, 47% Christianity, 41% being the Russian Orthodoxy, and then 6% other Christians, but actually 6% Islam, as well as Buddhism, and we also saw earlier on that there are Jewish members of the Russian Federation as well. So, I hope this video has helped you to understand some of the geographical questions. So, just to remind you, if you enjoyed the video, then make sure you click like, and also if you're new to the channel, hi, welcome. For similar videos like this in the future, don't miss out, click subscribe. I'll leave a similar video in the middle that I've previously done, and if you're still awake, maybe you want to click on that next. But otherwise, I hope you're really chilled and relaxed, and I'll see you soon. Bye everyone.